Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mohammed Abdullah. I'm a third year medical student. This podcast would be basically revolving around the life of a medical student. So, I would like to introduce all of the other hosts one by one. So, Momin.
Okay, my name is Momin Khan. I am also a third year medical student from Shifa College of Medicine.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. I am Manahil Rashid, a third year medical student at SCM.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Marusha, a third year medical student at SCM.
So, अभी as you can see that हमारे पास 2 guys हैं, 2 girls हैं. अभी right now we will dive into our journey through medical school, pre-med system सारा, especially focusing on Pakistani medical student, how we got into med schools and our journey. There was about our MCAT journeys and the resources that we used, and primarily focusing on just guiding anyone out there who wants to pursue medicine in Pakistan, and basically telling them what they need to know and what we think that our younger self would have known. So starting from Moment, do you have anything to say?
Okay, so for all those pre-meds out there thinking of picking up biology in O-levels and going for MBBS, one thing you need to know is there is a massive discrepancy between students of O and A levels versus students of FSC. And this is because of the equivalent system. So, for example, in O levels I had 8 A stars, and in A levels I had 3 A stars. And there were I'd say only a handful of people who have that sort of grades in A levels. And the reason I'm saying this is because only this handful of people are going to get a 90% equivalence, which still turns out to be 990 out of 1100. And 990 out of 1100 in FSC marks is very unremarkable. So you have a massive disadvantage from the get-go. So it'll still work out if you're willing to go private. But if you want to get into a public medical school, there's zero chance, next to zero chance. So keep that in mind when you're choosing your studying path. Okay, next up is, let's say you've done your O-levels, your A-levels, or you've done your FSC exams, you've gotten your equivalence, your marks ready. Your next step is going to be the mdcat. So in our time, the mdcat was really bad. They tried to switch things up to online and it didn't work out. A lot of people failed, some machines stopped working, some places the Wi-Fi went out. It was basically a catastrophe. And I'd say after everybody failed, a month later everybody suddenly passes because they gave everyone 20 marks so that they would pass. But that was for our year, right? I don't know if they've kept the tab system right now, so I don't know if they've changed anything.
But I think in 2023 everything was on tabs, but the next year it's going to shift to online. But you just cannot rely on this because policies change with every government changing. So I feel like MCAT is always just a risk.
So you're saying that they're switching back to offline now?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's better. At least it'll save us the maintenance issues that they had in our time. Okay, so let's say you've given your MDCAT. Now the question a lot of people ask me is, how do we study for MDCAT? It's really easy. You either go join the KIPS or you join STEPS. These 2 academies, they'll tell you what books to use. They'll give you lectures and stuff. Mostly pointless. If you like to go to lectures, then go to KIPS. If you like to self-study, go to STEPS. At the end of the day, it's all up to you how many hours you're willing to spend in a day studying this stuff. That's going to decide your score. You give your MDCAT, you wait for the list that you get, which is an accumulation of your scores, and then you just pray to God that you get into a good enough college. Minai?
So I also come from an A-levels background. Just like Momin told you his story, I had A stars and A's in my O and A levels. But what I did was I took bio, chemistry, physics, and maths in my A levels because I wasn't really sure what I had to do. I took a pre-med and pre-engineering. That's what a A-level student has the advantage of. So it was hard because in A levels you don't have time, you can't give time to your social life, and you have practicals for all the science subjects, and then maths is a really hard and dry subject. But what I'd suggest is that don't rely on medicine. if it's your dream, give it a shot once or twice, but have a place to fall back on. And I had maths, so I passed my MCAT, but I didn't pass with really nice marks, so I was kind of uncertain if I would get into a medical university. So what I did was I simultaneously applied into engineering. So if just in case if I didn't get into a medical college, I would still be an engineering student. That's something you could do as an A-level student. It is a tough journey, but it saves you a lot of time and mental pressure. And my MCAT, it was a disaster because I remember there was a thunderstorm, and the electricity supply just cut off, and we were giving our exam with no light. So that was a big turn off for me, and that's how my experience went.
I think I remember that showing up on the news too. They were like, look at this fiasco, they can't even provide electricity anymore.
Alright, so I'm Arusha, I'm from FSC. Talking about FSC, I was a board topper, I had 98%. But at the end of the day, FSC doesn't make much of it. It's actually MCAT that decides it for you. And MCAT has always been a mess. Since the last 2 years, it has consecutively ruined students' life. Every time there's a test, it is followed by protest online, near the MCAT office, and everywhere. But I'll say that choosing, first of all, the first question comes if you have to do FSC or A-levels. It's a personal choice, but if you aim for a government college, I think FSC is a better option. Because as Momin mentioned, the equivalence problem. Preparation for MCAT, I've been to KIPS, to STEPS, and I've tried Torsia as well and other academies, but I feel the best option is to self-study. The time duration for preparation is very less, and if you utilize it in a better way, by self-study, it is going to be much more helpful than KIPS and everything, because I feel academies don't help much. There is a certain pattern that they use, and every year MCAT gives an exam that does not follow that pattern anymore. So I feel that's just a waste of time. And then my MCAT, I failed my MCAT, being a topper, but anyways. So after MCAT, if you do good, you apply for colleges. But after giving my MCAT, even before the results, I did apply for law because I did not want to take a gap year. But taking a gap year, okay, so when you decide that if you have to take a gap year or not, think about yourself. Think about if you can deal it with it or not. Not that if your friends are doing it or are your parents asking you to do so. Because I knew for a fact that I could not handle the anxiety or depression that comes with a gap year. But if you think that you can do better in a gap year and you can get admission in a better medical college or you can be at a better place the next year, go for it. And then you'll go for med school interviews and tests. Like Shifa has an online test. I think it's not online now.
Yeah, it's not online anymore. In fact, Shifa, I don't think it's taking its own tests anymore. I think they've just been it's just been using the
There are no interviews either?
No.
I think formality-wise, I think they shortlist the candidates first. So it's still mainly merit-based.
Oh, alright.
Talking about gap years, this happened to a lot of my friends, right? So we were from the cursed batch where half of, almost everyone failed. So the thing with us is a lot of people had to take gap years. A lot of people dropped out of medicine entirely. And so the thing with gap years is whether you want to take them or not really does have to do with how strong your mental is. If your mental capacity is strong enough and you think you can spend a year at home doing nothing except for studying for your mdcat, then honestly do go for it. But a lot of people can't do this. However, there is one thing, a lot of people think, okay, man, I got 120 out of 200, I'm a failure. Even if I take a gap year, I won't improve by much. Maybe I'll improve by 10 marks. It's pointless. But one of my friends, he failed on his first try, and then on his second try, he got 180, 185, which is absurdly good, which just proves how much better a gap year can make your preparation. Especially for A-level students, one of the problems is that you will have just finished giving your CIEs and you'll be burnt out by, after A2 CIEs, you will be burnt out. And at that point, having to study all of this information again for mdcat, a lot of people can't handle it. So when you spread that over the course of a year, it becomes way easier. So if you can bear to do it, a gap year will almost certainly ensure that you get into a better place.
So for MCAT, I think that the way it is conducted is a mess. I agree, but I feel that the academic culture is just not right because they teach you in ways that will provide you not even 1% of help. So it's better that you sit and try to clarify your concepts and not follow the traditional way because PMC is not following the traditional way any longer.
Yeah, exactly.
I disagree with this till some extent because I joined KIPS from an A-levels background. I do agree that certain academies don't help you from word to word, but they do align you with the perspective and they do align your path with what you need to study. And I remember there were certain academies that had their online tests and exams that helped me in a way that I got familiarized with the content to be covered because I'm one of those persons that need a path to walk on. So my academy provided me with
Okay,
that.
that's the reason I went for steps. A lot of people go for KIPS because they can't study at home, they can't study by themselves, so they need to be forced to study. Steps is different. Steps doesn't have mandatory lectures. They won't make you go there at like 9 a.m. and keep you there. So Steps is good for that. You just stay at home, you look at those online videos if you want. They tell you the books to use, they give you the resources you need, and it's up to you to decide how you want to use them. So you have freedom there. But yeah, at the end of the day, real studying is something that you have to decide on your own time. Like no lecturer is gonna be able to help you learn all of this information.
So we kept on talking about what MCAT really was and how did we actually prepare for it, but we are not actually talking about that how our high schools or whatever colleges we were prior to med school, how did they basically helped us. And personally speaking, my high school and not even the administration and not even the career counselors, they did not guide me through the process that what basically how to get into medical school is. There was one committee, I think, that was primarily focused on one particular medical college of Pakistan. I would not like to name that particular name, but we did have a committee that focused on their specific MMIs. And MMIs basically stand for many medical interviews. I think that's what that was. And we basically had a network of students, primarily 5 or 6 alumni of that particular college where I was in, who basically taught us how do you prepare for that particular interview, because in that particular medical college, that interview really holds a great percentage of the admission criteria. So I would suggest to all those pre-meds out there that basically do your own research, look out all of the colleges yourselves, because that's what basically I did. And go through your alumni, talk to them, ask them what medical college would they recommend you going, because I don't think that me going into any other college that in which I am particularly, which is Shifa of course, I wouldn't have been satisfied in any other college.
We can't really talk about specific colleges right now, but in a future podcast, we might be able to talk about few specific colleges that maybe based on audience votes.
Yeah, and I think that one advice I would like to give a younger self would be that maybe just focus on not to focus on what the other people were doing, as Marusha mentioned earlier, but maybe I would have done FSC, because again because medical schools are so competitive, you need even 1% of marks difference makes a huge gap in the admission process.
Yeah, it's like 2,000 people for every 1%.
Yeah. So keep that in mind. Yeah, Marusha.
Oh, so to my younger self, I have a lot of advices for her. First of all, I'll tell her that because everybody around you or all your friends are going through the same pathway, so you think it's pretty normal. But what you're doing is very hard, and you have to give yourself some leverage, some love, some care, and some affection throughout. In case you don't score good in FSU or A levels, or in case you fail your MCAT just like I did, it's no big of a deal. It's just no big of a deal. You can give it another try, or if you don't want to give it another try, you can do something else. I don't know who has built this thing that being a doctor is the best profession out there, but being someone who's pursuing MBBS herself, I feel like this is not the case.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so many better options. And to my younger self, I'll also tell that it's okay, and whatever happens for a reason. But be very sure that if you want to do MBBS, you know that why you're doing it. You don't have to do it because your parents are asking, and you don't have to do it because your friends are doing it, and you don't have to do it because the society is pressurizing it. Do it if your heart allows you to do so. Don't force yourself into MBBS because it's a very long journey and you'll end up not doing anything at the end. So, and I just end by saying that be very kind to yourself throughout journey. It's not as easy as people make it appear. Yeah.
That's all from me. Abdullah, you have anything else to add?
Wait, I have something. Just ending it, as everyone wanted to give an advice to their younger self. I just, not to my younger self, but now to all those that are trying to come into medicine or any field. The time before coming into a medical, any profession, not even medical, and graduating from your high school, it's like one of the most vulnerable times. Keep that moment to yourself and your close ones. Don't let friends or family members that are waiting to attack on you at that time, don't keep in touch with them. It doesn't matter. Keep your mental peace at the front. That matters the most, because at the end, it's only you that's going to support your own self. You won't be looking out for people, friends, family members. So keep yourself strong. If you want to have a good lunch, go have a good lunch. If you want to go somewhere and no one's going with you, go out with yourself. Enjoy your own company. And whatever life gives you, just accept it and move on, because life is a journey. It has the highs and lows, but that's the beauty. And signing off.
101% agree with whatever Manahil said. Yeah.
Yeah.
To my younger self, I guess I'd say, bro, maybe you should have pursued business.
Oh yeah, we could basically talk about this particular topic, that what to do like besides medicine. Like if you were a pre-med
think-
student, we can
Yeah.
make it for another
For
podcast.
another
topic,
yeah, we
yes.
can make that another topic. But for now, we are just signing off. So
Yep.
Allah Hafiz,
Hafiz.
everyone, and
Take care.
Thank you for
see
your
you in the
patronage.
next podcast.